welcome to Let's Go from Winnipeg. Well, our guests this week are the Fringe, and they'll be with us just a little bit later on in the show. Right now, here's the Guess Who and Tin Soldier.
This is the CBC Television Network.
All I need is your whispered hello, smiles melting the snow of my hate. Your eyes, they're deeper than time, sing of love that won't rhyme without words. So now I've lost my way, I need her to show me things to say. Give me your love before I fade away. Oh, I got some love, I belong to you. Do anything that you want me to. Sing any song that you want me to sing to you. I just want someone belong to, someone give me satisfaction. I got some love and I belong to you, and I love you.
When we last left off, there was a party going on at the CBC. TV land was, for the most part, fantasy. But in the early 1960s, the real world came crashing in.
Good evening, I'm Tom Gould. This is News Magazine coming to you live from New York. Since Monday night, the world has been, in the opinion of many experienced diplomats, poised on the brink of thermonuclear war.
John Fitzgerald Kennedy, 35th President of the United States of America, was shot in the head while he rode through the streets of Dallas, Texas.
In Quebec, a not always quiet revolution was in full swing. Now, we tuned into television to plug into reality. What was on suddenly mattered. Even the singing and dancing had a point.
The CBC, yeah, 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 yeah. The CBC, yeah, 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 yeah. What's it mean to you? Yeah, 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 yeah. What's it mean to me? Yeah, 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 yeah. Communication.
In the 60s, the CBC didn't turn its back on entertainment, but it discovered that it was at the center of an information revolution.
Host this week on News Magazine is a Canadian reporter of the Washington scene, Knowlton Nash.
Knowlton Nash got us excited about the world beyond our borders.
The delays on putting an American into orbit may have been getting on the nerves of some of the people down here at Cape Canaveral, but apparently not on Lieutenant Colonel Glenn.
Adrian Clarkson introduced housewives to new ideas and new people.
It's headache day on Take 30, and although we don't have any little men with hammers, we do have a doctor.
Wander, let me wander.
Tommy Hunter made country music a slick new affair.
Just travel on my way.
Bonsoir, I'm Laurier Lapierre.
And I'm Patrick Watson.
But Laurier Lapierre and Patrick Watson summed it up better than anyone else. They were the 1960s.
This hour has 7 days.
On their show, they weren't afraid of any subject, even if we were.
Commander Rockwell, do you model yourself on Hitler?
It's impossible. I look upon Hitler. If I were religious, I would say Hitler was the second coming of Christ. I think Hitler was a gift from Providence. I think he was so far above anything that I'll be able to accomplish that it's just almost sacrilegious for me to speak of myself in the same terms with Hitler.
On the other hand, the turmoil of the 1960s wasn't the entire story. Lots of people wanted things to stay just the way they were, way back in the homey 1950s. And they were a huge part of the CBC audience. Where do you watch TV?
Why?
Yeah.
For entertainment.
Just for entertainment?
Yeah.
Yeah?
And to get the news.
Ideas, things to do, things you can try and experiment with.
I actually watch it to learn.
No.
Like, yes.
Really? To learn? To learn what?
Well, to find out what's going on in Canada.
Have you ever figured that out, what's going on in Canada?
Yeah, we're all nuts.
I wake up,
Yeah, okay.
wash my face, do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I watch a little bit of TV.
What's the longest you've ever gone sitting there watching television?
12 hours. 12 hours.
12 hours.
Yeah.
Then eat breakfast.
Yeah.
Then watch a little bit more TV.
What do you think is great about television?
Well, it's the communication.
What do you think, Mother?
Yes, Mother, what do you think?
It's good entertainment.
Educational, Mom.
And very
No,
educational.
this isn't a quiz.
And then have supper.
Yeah.
Watch TV some more.
Do the dogs watch television? Yes, they do. Yep. Do they really watch television? Sure.
They watch your shows.
Well, that's good. That's my audience. Hi, how are you?
Then go to bed
Yeah. Then wake up.
and do my morning all over again.
What's television the very best at? Like, what's television good for?
Keeping people happy.
Yeah.
Ah, and I agree with you on this.
From Vancouver, let's go. From all over Vancouver, Music Hub presents Let's Go.
When the 60s arrived, there were lots of happy teenagers. Almost invisible a decade before, now the kids who grew up with Howdy and Friendly could see themselves on the CBC.
From Halifax, here's Friday's Music Hub.
Every afternoon, the CBC aired a rock and roll show, broadcast out of a different Canadian city. It was considered a hip new way to bring Canada to Canadians.
Live from Studio 4 in Toronto, it's Music Hub.
And look who hosted the show when it came out of Toronto.
And now, here's your host of Music Hub, Al Trebek.
Fellows, hi, and welcome to another swinging session of Music Hub.
What do you think of the Rhythm Rockers? You do? That's a correct answer. Here's a copy of their brand new record. I might mention that Carol and Grace are two very young, fortunate young ladies because they were winners of the Win a Date with John Ashley contest. Aren't they lucky? I can see all you girls are very envious already.
But for the CBC, all this grooving wouldn't be enough. There were still nerdy kids out there, and they also had a right to be on TV.
Tonight, we invite you to match your knowledge and rapid recall with 8 of Toronto's brightest students on the Grand Championship game on Reach for the Top. Let's meet our teams right now. First of all, from Vincent Massey.
Jim Boy.
Scott Graham.
Rose Shill.
Michael McRae.
Once there was such a thing as Reach for the Top,
Pat Barton.
there were really only two kinds of kids. Those who made it on the school team, and then there were the rest of us.
Pepperoo High.
Pepperoo High.
Toronto French School.
Toronto French School, okay. Pope John Paul II Secondary School and Father Henry Carr Secondary School.
Well, teams, I don't think I have to go over the rules since you must by now be quite familiar with them.
You have to ring in, so if you know the answer, you have to go, eh. Okay? Let's just check your buzzers. Okay, that's your buzzer. Okay, for 10 points.
Tell me the name of this famous bridge. It's in Venice. Jeff Green, York Mills.
Bridge of Sighs.
No.
Father Henry Carr for
Rialto Bridge.
the Rialto Bridge.
Yes. What is this one called?
Vienna, a gondola.
No.
That's the Bridge of Sighs.
That's the Bridge of Sighs.
For 100,000 points.
What is the name, Vincent Massey, of this bridge in Vancouver?
Capilano Search Bridge.
And it's a tie, and you both leave with your sign. But most young people weren't just thinking about famous bridges. They had other things on their mind.
A lot of girls get pregnant, and there really isn't any need for it.
Good evening, Frank Willis. Tonight's one-hour edition of Close Up is about birth control.
I think sex is a part of life, and you have to have it.
Do you use them?
I am using them.
It's a program some parents may consider not suitable for children.
I don't know. I think all girls should know about them from the age of 12.
Although millions of Canadians use mechanical or chemical methods of contraception, other millions, for deeply felt reasons, abhor and reject them.
Do you think the pill may tend to make women promiscuous?
No, not any more than they are.
We do not question those beliefs. Our purpose is to inform.
It was the beginning of the sexual revolution.
Here we go.
And it was time for TV to loosen up.
Right hand on the yellow. Right foot on the yellow.
On Nightcap, the CBC's first attempt at late-night television, the boys and girls played games. Sometimes it got a little risque.
Hi there. I was just catching up on foreign affairs. I was just reading this Toronto newspaper, and those typographical errors they'd be making make Lenny Bruce look like Bobby Breen. But I really dig international affairs, don't you? I like to keep my hand on the pulse of the news.
And while this was fine to try at night, by day it was strictly ladies' television.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Well, if you want to start at your highest in fashion, the lady in the gold lame dress with her ermine stole and her jewels would be wearing the kind of garment that will make her feel luxurious, I guess is the best word for it.
When Take 30 began in 1962, just the idea of doing a TV show for women was rare.
For the average figure, and after all, most of us are in that category, the panty girdle is about the most convenient garment, I think, that we've found. With
But
the panty
it
girdle,
certainly
you can
wasn't
wear
expanding any minds out there. Enter Adrienne Clarkson. She was curious about everything and took you along for the ride. Clarkson was the thoroughly modern woman.
Dear Ann Landers, a while ago, my wife asked me to put on her dress while she hemmed it. I did, and I found that I liked it very much. Now, Ann, don't tell me I'm not a normal man, because I am. Signed, All Man. To learn about the world of pop music, Paul and I arranged to meet another young singer who's been a teenage idol for 2 years.
She could rap with the best of them, including Leonard Cohen.
For this, knowing where you are, you don't need the help of anything like drugs or liquor or anything?
Well, it's not a matter of the help. I mean, you can cooperate with the vision that alcohol gives you. You can cooperate with the vision that LSD gives you. I mean, all those things are just made out of plants.
And Madame Benoit is in the...
In their studio, Adrienne Clarkson and her co-host Paul Soles were warm, welcoming, and witty.
Madam Benoit, what's on the menu for today?
2 special dessert, European dessert, easy to make, elegant, simple, and don't
don't say that.
Deliciously fattening.
Deliciously
Fat
fattening, of
girls. I love fat girls.
So do I.
Yeah, well.
Better that I should like them than you.
Take 30 was a friend to women who often heard no other adult voices during the day.
Hey, guess what? I've got 10,000 bones in my body. Know why? I had sardines for lunch.
Hold everything. Here's the show for kids and turtles. 30 minutes of razzle-dazzle.
This was the height of the baby boom. In the 60s in Canada, there were more kids than ever. And for an entire generation, after school was milk and cookies and razzle-dazzle.
And here's Al and Michelle.
Say, kids, when you're writing with your pen and ink, does this often happen to you? You get a great big ink smudge right on your sleeve? Does that leaky pen ruin your best shirt? Well, this is no longer a problem. No siree. If you get a razzle-dazzle shirt from R to Z, you can rest assured that this will never happen to you. Because with an R to Z shirt, who'll notice?
Razzle-dazzle was just a good time.
Chez Hélène.
Chez Hélène, however, new in the 60s for younger kids, had a real purpose.
Bonjour, ma belle Louise.
The relentlessly cheerful Chez Hélène was done inside the studios of CBC Montreal.
Oh, Hélène, it's a beautiful day outside.
Il fait froid dehors, hein?
Not too cold.
Outside, the noises of separatism were getting louder.
Hélène,
Oui.
what is it that man is carrying on his back?
Ah, ça ici, Suzy?
Yeah.
Ça, ce sont des raquettes.
Gee, what kind of rackets? Tennis rackets? Badminton rackets?
In Ottawa, they dreamed of the day when we would all be bilingual.
These are called snowshoes.
C'est pour marcher dans la neige.
Oh, I see. Say, aren't they a bit...
Oui,
What an ideal way to promote national unity, which was getting to be quite the issue. Getting a new flag took a huge and controversial debate.
In 1964, a great peacemaker brought a sense of national unity to troubled Canada. The Right Honourable Mike Pearson began by promising a distinctive flag and anthem to the people. A people longing and praying for the unification of Canada.
I believe that the day of flag designed around the maple leaf will symbolize and be a true reflection of the new Canada.
Will the adoption of a Canadian flag aid the cause of national unity?
I certainly think it should. But I think it's going to take much more than a flag to mend our fences, shall I say.
Oh, it looks like Mike's nightshirt.
I would prefer more leaves and like a tree effect.
Good evening, I'm Norman DePoe. The maple leaf in some form is apparently already adopted in principle, only details remain. All indications are that the Prime Minister, having set his hand to this particular plow, intends to follow the furrow, whatever the consequences, to the end.
Until the 1960s, almost all of CBC's programs were done in studios.
Fun shows from which to choose.
Ready to entertain.
These shows abound.
But the world beyond the studio was irresistible. Underwater, in the air, on land, or around the world, you were there with the nature of things.
Earth is the only planet that we know is coated with a thin film of life. To us living creatures,
this is the most precious thing there is. In this layer, animals and plants live together in mutual support.
It was the first and only program of its kind in North America. But there was other groundbreaking work going on at the CBC, television actively engaging in the fight for social change.
Negroes are generally inferior to whites as it stands now. There's no getting around that. They don't have the intelligence yet that the white man has, so you would have to call them inferior.
Freedom, freedom, oh, freedom, freedom, oh.
The documentary, One More River, was an example of how CBC teams were focusing on the United States. Examining American society helped us to find Canada.
Go home to my Lord and be free. No more Jim Crow, Jim Crow, no.
You've read a lot about a nigger over in Mississippi attending the university there named Meredith. I don't call that integration. That's only the military lodging somebody with you by force.
A decade before, the CBC had mastered escapism with beautiful ballets and spectacular variety shows. Now, it was making its mark capturing reality.
30,000 troops it took to get that nigger in, twice as many to get him in again. James Meredith, it's plain for you to see. You'll breathe no more of rebel air, for soon dead you'll be, soon dead you'll be.
This is the CBC television network.
In the 60s, the CBC could also set its sights beyond North America. TV networks in other parts of the world began to work together. They threw a big TV party, a gala program called Our World. In the CBC studios, Stanley Burke guided Canadian viewers into the satellite age.
So now we are in the studio here, ready to go around the world. Unfortunately, 5 countries, I might add, have dropped out of this program because of political reasons. This is unfortunate. The rest will carry on. I have with me Adrian Clarkson and Bruce Marsh. Adrian.
Well, it's a delight to be part of this program, you know, Stanley, because Canada has always been in the forefront of this kind of development, and here we are with all these sophisticated people all taking part.
And now the countdown has begun. Everything live.
And when it began, it was spectacular. Epic images of the wonders of our planet. A chorus of unity singing Our World in a myriad of languages. It was opening night for the Global Village. But the highlight was, for the first time ever, swapping live snapshots of life.
Ici Paris, c'est Joseph Custer qui vous parle.
From a helicopter, we are able to see Parisians returning to the city after a weekend spent in the country.
Veiled woman, a silhouette from the past, gives way to the faces of the present. We go 2,000 miles north and west to Ghost Lake, Alberta.
Appropriately enough, the evening featured the reigning media guru, Canada's own Marshall McLuhan.
Now, this strange new all-at-once situation in which everybody experiences everything all at once creates this kind of X-ray mosaic of involvement and participation for which people are just not prepared. They have lived through centuries of detachment, of non-involvement. Suddenly, they're involved.
You can't just sit back and play with your own little world. There are other worlds out there. Lots of them.
TV was expanding our horizons. CBC National News opened more foreign bureaus.
The national news on CBC television. It's almost fun.
The intrigue and mysteries of the Iron Curtain were covered by Phil Calder from West Berlin.
This is Phil Calder, and this is West Berlin. Here at Checkpoint Charlie, almost anyone in the world can cross over into the eastern sector of the city, except the West Berliners.
How Japan was rebuilding after Hiroshima was Michael McClare's territory.
We know we're getting fallout. We know there's a tolerance level, a limit to how much we can take. We can take what we're getting at the moment. There's reasonable proof of that, but the next generations may not be able to take the long-term effects.
And Knowlton Nash, the Washington correspondent, brushed up with history.
Bobby Kennedy is the hottest political property in the United States today. Nobody can generate the kind of excitement that he does, and yet the point is whether he's going to translate that kind of excitement into votes and into delegate strength at the Democratic National Presidential Nominating Convention in Chicago next August.
CBC's distinct Canadian view earned it respect all over the world. In this disturbing film, The Mills of the Gods, CBC cameras went where none had gone before in Vietnam. This was long before the U.S. military controlled and staged how we see war.
See the tracer bullets coming up past us. Fantastic, and we really made them run. That's outstanding, because when they get out of their trenches in the open, we can really hit them, and that's what we like to do. That's what we're here for, and boy, it's outstanding to really catch them out in the open, or we don't do that very often.
Vietnam was only 20 years after the horror of World War II. It posed huge moral and spiritual questions. When everyone was asking, what does it all mean, the CBC created a show to explore that question.
Good afternoon. I'm Roy Bonesteel, and this is edition number 1 of Man Alive. By way of introduction, our program will concern itself with religion and the world.
This edition of Man Alive tried to understand why, in the quest for a better world, so many young people were just dropping out.
A new caste of priests, the Guru, has arisen among the young, and their message to the world is conveyed in song lyrics and folk festivals and pulsating rock rhythm. The emphasis now is on feeling and emotion. It has led to a generation gap with those who continue to emphasize the authority of reason and tradition.
But the significance of all this happiness was lost in other quarters at the CBC.
This is Yorkville, where Coke isn't a soft drink, but is short for cocaine, where drugs, or talk about them, form the main recreation, and sex is a poor second. First, the cast of characters. Hippies, They come to do their own thing, return to childhood, make love to anyone, carry around philosophical books they don't understand.
Everywhere, there were signs that the morality of the past wasn't holding. Some people at the CBC tried to make the network hipper.
Here are the vital statistics on this young man whom you'll come to know and admire through the new season. His name, Moses Neimer.
Someone's described you as, a chick with a good sense of the vibrations. Does that come from having lots of contacts out there in the city? Or
Moses Neimer discussed gender relations with Gloria Steinem.
I suppose I'm a product of my time.
How many ladies' things do you like doing? Do you cook?
No.
You iron?
Yes, iron. Yeah.
Exceedingly well, too.
Thank you.
For those people who don't know your name for what it stands, why don't we say what it is?
And here he is again, discovering more about sexuality.
I am a transsexual. I was born with, I would say, an immature male body, but always had a female psyche.
The drama department took on all those edgy subjects in Wojak. Based on the real-life files of a Toronto coroner, nothing was out of bounds.
We have to perform a therapeutic abortion. We have to. The left kidney is totally involved, and the tubules in the right kidney show the beginning of inflammation.
No.
She's going to die otherwise. You've got to give us permission.
No.
Well, why not?
We are Catholics.
Steve, I won't be prosecuting anything unless it's manslaughter. Steve, I'm being blackmailed to reduce the case.
What the hell are you talking about?
I'm a homosexual, and he's threatened to expose me.
Wojak was a real man. And thanks to guys like John Vernon who played him, Real Man was becoming TV's latest sex symbol.
I've been an actor so long now that I don't suppose I'm always 100% true to life, in the natural.
Gordon Pinsent was the nation's classic matinee idol. On Quentin Durgan's MP, he plays a new breed of politician, a Canadian John F. Kennedy, handsome and charismatic, but with a certain Canadian integrity.
Hi.
Buy me a drink.
Now?
Yes, now.
It's nearly 2 o'clock and it's closed.
Can't I come in?
Millie, it's getting late. I've got a lot of work to do before tomorrow.
I can wait.
Well, why don't you go back to your husband? I'll call you in the morning, okay?
Don't patronize me. Tell me to go to hell, for heaven's sake, but don't treat me like a naughty little child.
Then stop behaving like one.
I don't get to do to you at all, do I? Would you mind telling me, is it some Presbyterian morality that says you mustn't make love to a married woman? Or are you just scared to death that you get caught out with the minister's wife and spoil your lovely little political career?
Neither. I just happen to come from a part of the world where the boy picks the girl, not the other way around. Good night, Mrs. Forger.
And suddenly, a real-life, made-for-TV politician appeared. On television, Pierre Elliott Trudeau made it seem like if there was anyone who could deal with the times, he was it. He cast a spell on the entire country.
Good evening, I'm Rob Defoe. The program is News Magazine. The scene, of course, is Parliament Hill. With me, the recently appointed Minister of Justice, Pierre Elliott Trudeau.
Look at that face, just look at it. Look at that fabulous face of his.
You're in very good physical condition indeed. How do you find time to stay this way in addition to everything else?
I've got a crush on you, Piero Joe. Although your hair's getting thinner, my majority winner. For you, I'll consider and when
Trudeau doesn't look middle-aged. The 158 pounds carries are all muscle.
this man thing for you, OPA. No need to But I doubt that his love can survive. Pierre Trudeau doesn't know I'm alive.
Oh, I'm getting to be quite a ham, I guess. Just look at the cameras and say nonsense things.
What's your ultimate goal in life? Do you want to be Prime Minister someday?
Hell no. I won't even be Minister of Justice if you don't let me go back to work. I don't want to be anything but administer this department well.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and I guess you do have to get back to work.
Thanks very much, John. Bye.
Pierre Elliott Trudeau, an athlete, a political philosopher, a lawyer, a teacher, a bon vivant, and a man with a wide sense of humor. Now, our Minister of Justice. Good night.
When Trudeau was elected Prime Minister, even John Lennon and Yoko Ono wanted to meet him.
Right now we're just overwhelmed meeting Mr. Trudeau because he's really such a beautiful person, more beautiful than we expected.
Are your views somewhat similar?
We all have views on, we want hope for the future, and in that respect, our views are similar.
Trudeau made it seem like Canada was a cool place, a player in the new global village. John Lennon thought the CBC was pretty cool too, and used it to get his message across.
Hi, I'm John Lennon, and this is Peace Weekend.
One week, he was even the main attraction on Lloyd Robertson's show.
John Lennon is here in Canada selling peace. He is here in our studio tonight, along with Yoko. I want you to meet a man who is waiting to talk to you in our Winnipeg studio by the name of Russell Dorn.
I'm speaking to you from Winnipeg, where the Premier of Manitoba, who is Canada's youngest Premier, has sent a letter to John Lennon, which was mailed yesterday. Dear Sir, it would give me and the government of Manitoba considerable pleasure if you would consider Manitoba as a site to promote world peace.
That's beautiful, and we'd like to thank you very much, and I can't give a date or anything now, but we'll be there, definitely. And it's just, we're overwhelmed by that offer.
John and Yoko never made it to Winnipeg.
Play it.
But when the CBC ran out of rock stars and sex symbols, there were always the homespun favorites.
Will you be replacing human beings in this plant?
Just a minute. Man, I can understand your concern, but let me assure you, as long as I'm president of this company, people, not machines, will come first. You can tell everybody they've got nothing to worry about as long...
Another hidden challenger panel, and this time you're going after an international story.
All right, is this a happy story?
I don't know.
Are you a political figure?
No.
Are you a military figure?
No.
I don't know why that's getting a chuckle, but it is. Looking it down the ice over the blue line. 3, 2, 1, the Colorado Police have won the Stanley Cup.
What a tremendous hockey game this was.
And now there was a new big star of homespun programming, Tommy Hunter.
leaving me blue, Jezebel, it was you. If ever the devil's plan was made to torment man, it was you.
For the CBC, this was also the beginning of new competition, a private network, CTV. Putting country on the air was a great way to keep people watching the CBC. And a new program combining folk and country was added to the line, featuring a voice we'd all come to know very well.
I can't believe that you're honestly thinking of leaving me. 'Cause I thought that leaving really wasn't even on your mind. I'm drowning in tears, trying constantly nearer to misery.
The viewers came back again and again.
Just biding my time while the glow from the wine makes a fool of me.
Over at information programming, there were also new faces that would become legendary. This show was the ultimate trip on TV in the 60s.
This hour has 7 days.
A show about the news never looked like this before.
This hour has 7 days, exploring land and sea. An H-bomb off the Spanish coast, a treasure ship maybe. And the
It quickly became a must-see event every Sunday for 3 million Canadians.
with Laurier, Pat and me.
Tonight, we bring you the story of a man who... It's me. There's the hotline. No, Patrick. Les Anglais, they want to dominate French Canadians. Hello.
Laurier Lapierre and Patrick Watson knew how to ham it up, as well as deliver hard-hitting journalism.
Now, sir, you are Mr. Igor Guzenko.
That's right.
And you are the man who exposed part of the Canadian-Soviet espionage system in 1945.
That's correct.
In your opinion, sir, and in your experience, is sex and such things part of the spying game?
They're very cold-blooded regarding women, sex, and all this question. They definitely will use it.
You could never predict what they would do next to stir up the pot.
Monsieur Levesque, why are you always in the headlights?
It's curious that there are more headlines, if that's of any importance. I think in many cases it's in the English papers about things I have to do or say than there are in the French papers.
Are you, sir, a fanatic?
I'm a fanatic about Quebec, that's for sure.
It was all a little bit too new. Politicians chafed. The CBC brass got a little worried. The show had to go.
Good evening, I'm Peter Riley. At the top of the domestic news tonight, as it has been every night since last Friday, the fate of the most loved, the most hated, the most controversial, but above all, the most watched program in Canadian television. The man who must answer the public, his board of directors, and ultimately to Parliament is CBC President J. Alphonse Ouimet.
It's a policy of the corporation not to editorialize. It's policy of the corporation to have hosts that will not, through their appearance, their deportment, express opinions. And
what opinions, sir?
Eh?
What opinions? Would you like to give a specific example
I
of
would
an
like to
opinion?
give examples. When our, for example, when our hosts start to weep on the program, it's not very detached.
Stephen Truscott observed his 21st birthday in Collins Bay Penitentiary on January the 18th. He has spent 1/3 of his life behind bars.
Stephen Truscott was sentenced to hang by the neck until dead, although the sentence was commuted to life imprisonment. Doubts about his innocence, ladies and gentlemen, give urgency to the movement to abolish capital punishment. Next week in the House of Commons,
the abolition bill will get first reading.
This edition of 7 Days was directed by David Ruskin, produced by Ken LaFole, Bob Hoyt, and Douglas Leiterman, who say farewell.
Nobody was very happy, especially viewers, who learned that those in charge didn't always listen to what the people wanted. If you were going to try imaginative new things with television, maybe you were better off going over to Mr. Dress-Up's.
Hi, I'm glad you came to see me today. We all jump around and dance around and make funny positions, and when the music stops, then stay just as you are. I'll take your picture.
Okay,
Some
and
funny
you can do it
position.
too.
Everybody can do it.
Okay.
Mr. Dress-Up changed occasional television because he showed you something they didn't teach in school. How to play.
That's a funny position. Click, click.
It was all about the imagination. Until the late 1960s, you had no choice but to imagine the colors of Mr. Dress-Up's imaginary worlds. What would you do if you woke up and your TV suddenly only showed you pictures in black and white?
I'd freak. I'd freak. I would call the. I'd say repairman. I'd call the police. I would call.
You could call the police. Would you think TV was broken?
Well, I've seen some black and white shows, but I never watched them.
When you're flicking around. Yeah. So you think it was weird?
Yeah, and it wouldn't be really weird if I watched the news
Right.
in black and white.
Would you watch a hockey game in black and white?
No.
No? You think a hockey game in color is better?
Yeah, because you won't know which team's with. Because it's hard to see who's who.
You think if you were alive when all television was black and white, you'd watch as much television as you
No,
watch today?
definitely not. Because I wanted the many channels, no color. That's why I'm watching TV, no color.
Put up your hands if you think TV in color would be better than TV in black and white.
Oh, me! Me! Over here! Me!
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
This is a CBC special color presentation.
That was perfect. And then in 1966, it happened.
Look at that face, just look at that fabulous face of yours. I've just seen a face, I can't forget the time or place where we just met. She's just the girl of me, and I want all the world to see we met. Na 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 na.
It took about 5 years for all of CBC's programs to switch to color. But in those first few years, when they were in color, boy, were they in color. Expo 67 was the perfect party for the CBC to strut its colorful self. The network produced hundreds of hours of color programming from the site. It was also an incredible 100th birthday party for the entire country.
2, 1. Happy birthday, everybody.
Everything was as fantastical as, well, color TV. Until someone burst the bubble.
Vive le Québec libre!
French President Charles de Gaulle on his visit to Expo. It was as if France had officially said, "We support an independent Quebec." It was the opening that the separatists were waiting for. From here on in, the cultural divide in Canada would only get wider. The problems more profound. But not everyone would be invited along for the ride into the next decade.
Got my dancing boots on, got my Sunday best, going to the bar dance tonight.
Don Messer's Jubilee had remained a standing date for millions of Canadians week after week. But the network brass just thought it was a little too cornball. Despite all the protests from across Canada, it too had to go. Even today, in many parts of the country, the faithful are still puzzled as to why it canceled.
Well, I got my dancing boots on, got my Sunday best. I'm going to the bar next tonight. Now, don't you know I'm down and swing 'em off their feet. I'm dancing to the islanders tonight. Oh, that's my Sunday best. I'm going to the bar dance tonight. Now, don't you know I'm down and swing off their feet. I'm dancing to the islanders tonight.
Well, there's 10 years that have gone by in a frightful rush, and for every one of them, friends, thank you very, very much. Good night.
I'm Rick Mercer. Join us for the 70s. The fun and our story continue.
I'm a little tin soldier that wants to jump into your fire. You are a look in your eye, a dream passing by in the sky. Oh, I don't understand, and all I need is treat me like a man, 'cause I ain't no child, take me like I am. Hey, I got your love, I belong to you. Do anything that you want me to. Sing any song that you want me to sing to you.
This vest would be from the 60s.
And you like 60s clothes?
I love 60s clothes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, the whole 60s thing you like, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm mad for the 60s.
Right. And so, and what do you do?
I'm a go-go dancer.
No, is that a go-go dancer?
Mhm.
Is go-go dancing a 60s occupation?
I'd say, and thank you for calling it an occupation, because some people like to refer to it as a pastime, but it's an occupation.
Well, it's your job, right?
It's my job.
Well.
Thank you. This way, and so yeah, there's all this sort of,
Right.
you know what I mean,
Okay,
like
I gotcha.
that kind of stuff.
Okay. Now, was
Down.
touching allowed like that?
Well, I mean, I think there was frottage. There was a bit of frottage.
Is that what that means? Because I've never known what that means.
No, that's what that means. Yeah, it doesn't mean flotation device or anything. It means sort of.
That's kind of lap dancing.
It's sort of lap dancing, but you know it's a little less humpy.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a tickle.
Yeah, it's a tickle
Bit of a slap and tickle.
rather than a
We're getting a bit of a slap and
you
tickle.
know a shove, a hump.
A hump.
There you go, and then you're sort of going to go down
Right.
and a little bit of this sort of stuff.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.